Hi quilters, it's Pam from AccuQuilt. 2018, we are releasing all sorts of new dies, and this is one of my favorites. So I, who love Halloween the most of all holidays, this is our new spider web die. So with the spider web die, you can make spider webs that are just two colors, like this one is black and white, or you can make your spider web scrappy. So this pillow, it uses our spider web die, and this pattern is called spider web ring pillow. So quilters, you don't always have to make a quilt. Sometimes you can just make a pillow or a wall hanging, and this is a great die to use. So let's talk about the die. And the packaging, I'm going to leave right here because we want to refer to that packaging. It has the pattern on in the inside, so it allows you to make sure that you sew the pieces and cut the pieces correctly. So here is our new spider web die. Look at this, ta-da. So this is called a block on board. We refer to them as bobs. So all of the pieces you need to make an entire quilt block, an entire quilt, or a pillow, or a wall hanging, or whatever you're making is on one die board. You don't need any additional dies. The two-tone foam is going to show you where to lay that fabric. You can cut up to 6 layers of cotton fabric. You can also cut other fabrics like flannel, felt. You'd want to start with 1 or 2 of those layers. Now this is kind of a cool die because you know how we always cut off the dog ears so that you can have that perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance? Well, on this die we actually added notches right here. So when we go to sew these pieces together, you're going to line up those notches and it's going to work perfect every time. So let's cut some fabric. So first of all, I'm going to follow my instructions and we're just going to cut 2 different colors. So first, quilters, I'm going to show you how to cut a 2-color spider web. So just like is on the packaging for our die. So you're going to follow the instructions and you just need 2 colors. I've used blue and white in mine, but you can use any 2 colors that you want. So the instructions are going to tell you that you want to cover these 3 pieces. So B, C, and D. So I have my fabric here. I'm just going to cover those 3 pieces, lengthwise grain, label at my belly, and then I've cut a bigger piece that's going to cut all of the pieces. And I'm going to lay it right over this shape. I'm going to make sure I get all the pieces covered. Okay, so this is a little bit different than we typically cut. We usually put 6 layers down and run it through the die board. This is different, so make sure you read those instructions. Then I'm going to take my cutting mat. Now this is a 5 by 10 die, so you can cut with your Go Baby, your Go, which is what I'm using today, or your Go Big Electric. All right, run it here, turn the handle. All right, you want to give your die mat a little bit of love, slide that mat right off, and then I'm going to peel back and you can see how perfect it's cut all of the pieces. And you see how we cut those little notches? So when we sew them together, it will sew together beautifully. So let me show you how we're going to cut our scrappy pieces. So this is really kind of fun. Now quilters, keep in mind that this is the block that we're going to make, okay? So it's really important to notice this. This is actually 2 half square triangles that we sewed together to make a square. This is one of the blocks. This is the other. We're going to sew them together to make that square block. Okay, really important you read the instructions. So as I lay my fabric on the die board, I'm actually going to lay down one of each of these pieces of fabric, the different colors, so that I can just cut them in one pass. So now I'm going to take my smallest one, label it our belly, lengthwise grain. Lengthwise grain is right there. Aren't these boutiques great? Our friends at Island Boutique, we'd like to thank you for our fabric. Low and wonky, high and tight. Here we go. Now quilters, you have to obey the 6-layer rule. Okay, so don't just be willy-nilly putting more than 6 layers on there. Okay. And All right, so see how I've laid all of those pieces on there. So when you look at the pattern here, it's going to tell you how many of each shape to cut and the yardage you need to make this pillow, but it's also going to show you how to sew those pieces together. So you want to keep this packaging and make sure that you keep that free pattern that's on there. All right, so I'm going to put my mat on top. I'm going to turn the handle. Give it a little love. Slide, don't lift. Okay, so now you can see where I've already started to make this block. So here's this half, right? So I'm going to turn it this direction. There we go. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see how all the pieces go together. All right, so now I just need, I'm going to show you how I'm going to lay it out first, and then how the pieces go together. So here's the green, and here's the blue. And I would tell you, quilters, to cut all your pieces first. It'll really make a difference. And we're going to turn them this direction. And then we're going to find our little orange piece here at the bottom. Okay. Look how fun this is. Okay, now I want to make sure that the notch goes where it's supposed to be. So now I've lined up all of these pieces in the correct order, and you can see that the notches are down here. So when we go to sew these two halves together, then you can line up those notches and it'll sew together beautifully, okay? So our instructions tell us that we should sew piece A to piece B, so that's what I'm going to start with. And look how beautiful that lines up. We've cut off the dog ears here for you, so we know right where our 1/4 inch seam is. All right. And then this instructions tell us that we want to press those seams open. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I feel like this die has a lot of bulk. And so if you're trying to press to the dark side or press to the light side, it's just going to have too much bulk. So the best way to solve that problem is to just press your seams open, just like that. So look, ta-da. Now I'm going to take the next piece. See how beautifully it lines up there? Just perfect. Bring it right here to my sewing machine. So for sure, quilters, this is one that you really want to cut all your pieces so that you can just chain stitch these together. Just want to make sure that you're doing the same side. All right. And I'm going to press my seams open. Okay, and we're going to just put that last little orange piece on it just like this. And again, you can see how perfect that lines up because we cut off the dog ears for you. Come right here, make that perfect 1/4 inch seam. All right, and I'm going to press this last seam open, and then I'm going to show you how to put the block together. Okay, pressed it open here. So now you can see, I gotta find the right direction, right? There we go. So now when I sew those two pieces together, these notches here will allow me to line up the blues and the greens and the yellow and the orange. So now that I've sewn all the pieces together and made that half of a block, let's look here at our project and you can see. So right here, there's the block. So don't be scared and think, oh, I have to make rounded corners. Don't worry about that. What you're going to be doing is right here, make a square. So you can see the yellows and the blues and the greens all line up, and then all of the white makes it beautiful. So quilters, where can you get your new spiderweb die? You can get one at AccuQuilt.com or from your local signature retailer. Remember, at AccuQuilt, we help you cut time so you can quilt more.